Hey, welcome everybody. We're just getting set up here still. I'm going to grab our presenter and we're going to get our seats set up. But you can just look at this beautiful Rolla banner while I do that.
Right on this bench, just here? Yes. So you don't need to rest? It is apparently open. Yeah, don't try that. We were thinking there was
We're just waiting for our local participants to show up who have registered, and then we'll be live with you guys. Derby info session here, and that's I'll give everyone a tour of what's going on here on this side. Oh look, there comes Busy. Oh, and they're putting away this stuff. Derby friends, come this way.
Yeah.
Mike. Hopefully to counter the things happening.
Hello. Come on in.
Assets is here too, so must have registered through Facebook.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for your patience. We're just obviously gathering ourselves, and we're going to get started. Hi, Asset. You're here to learn about roller derby?
I am.
Amazing. And we'll look for Leah. What happens to Leah here? All right. Should I turn this around so I'm not like totally? I don't want to be like talking to the camera and y'all.
How does it look?
Okay, good enough.
Hey, Dee.
Come join us. Awesome. All right. Thanks for being here, friends. This is our roller derby info session. This is like part kind of roller derby history class, and part Rolla Skate Club and short track roller derby and what we do here, and honestly a chance to answer any questions that you have at all. So let's do it. So big picture, starting with like how the game works. Has anyone seen roller derby played before?
A couple people.
Have you seen roller derby? No?
I've made a point to know nothing about roller derby, and now I'm like
You've made a point to know nothing about it, so then you're just gonna like jump in and try it.
there are skis involved, and
Perfect. Amazing.
people, but I'm not sure how.
Amazing. Yes, you're gonna smash into people and it's gonna be great. Okay, so I'm gonna give you the like broad strokes of short track roller derby. There are 2 teams of 7 people dressed for a game. We put the benches in the middle of the track. We have 1 minute jam. So the whistle goes and the play transpires for 1 minute, and then the whistle blows, and then we start over, usually with all new people. We have a 30-second reset in between those jams for all the chaos to ensue. And then there's a jammer and blockers. So there's 3 players from each team out on the track, 2 blockers and 1 jammer. And the jammer has a star on their helmet. And the jammer is the person that scores the points. And they score the points by passing all the skaters in the pack. And the pack is all the blockers, basically. Yeah. So the jammer tries to score. So they're playing offense. They're trying to score. The blockers are simultaneously playing offense and defense, right? So you're trying to prevent the other team's jammer from getting past you, but you're also trying to find opportunities and find holes and find offensive, breaks for your jammer so that your jammer can get through and score points. So it's kind of a unique sport because there's not really any other sport that I can think of where your team is playing offense and defense at the same time. Like in basketball, the minute the other team gets the ball, you're all playing defense. And then if you get the ball back, then you're all playing offense. But in this game, you're all playing offense and defense consistently, like switching back and forth / doing both offense. So there's 2 periods of gameplay. In short track roller derby, when we start playing the first period, we play the game turning clockwise, so turning right. So we call it direction 1. And then the second half, we do it all turning left, direction 2. Because our track, I'm looking at it here behind Job, it's compact. It's the short track. And so the radius is like noticeable on your body when you can go ahead, you can go around, don't go behind.
You come this way, you go on the end.
On film. Oh God. Perfect. Yeah, so it's like very a lot. And Lulu and I, we created this game, and we spent by that point like 12 years or 13 years or something playing roller derby on like flat track rules. And even though it's a much bigger track, you spend the entire time turning left because you only go in the turning left direction playing that rule set. And we found, and our physiotherapists found, that our bodies were not 100% aligned.
I'm still dealing with it.
As a result. Yeah.
15 years.
Cupid knows. Yeah. So we play the first half turning right and the second half turning left. And so that's kind of a fun thing when people are switching over or people are seeing short track for the first time who've played big track or flat track roller derby rules. They find that to be extremely upsetting, terrifying. They're not sure about it, but then once they actually do it, every single person has said like, oh, it's actually once you just do like half of one jam, you're like, oh yeah, it's totally the same as normal. Yeah, so it's pretty fun. So there's 2 30-minute periods. So it ends up, or almost 30 minutes. It's 2 periods of 10 jams each. So in short track, every jam is 1 minute long, and then there's a 30-second break in between, and there are 10 jams, and that's the period, right? So that's the length. So it works out to like 15 and a half or whatever. Yeah. And then we have a halftime, and then we go again, turn the other way. Any questions about that? That's just like the broad strokes. So now you know a little bit more, B, about what's happening in roller derby. Yeah, so the jammer is scoring the points by getting through the pack and passing the other skaters. So they get, in short track, the jammer gets 1 point for every pass. So in other roller derby rule sets, they get a point for every blocker that they pass, which makes it a little bit, a very challenging game to officiate because the officials have to be like so talented and watching so many things and making sure they're not counting the same blocker twice. If they go out and come back in and stuff, it's very challenging. So backing it up a little bit, briefest history of the sport of roller derby. It became a thing in the 1920s when roller skating was popular, and they were running these big like roller skating marathon things in Chicago and other places. And they just had skaters like going around on a track and doing like relays and stuff for like hours and hours at a time. And fans would come and watch this. Sounds really boring. And what the organizers realized is that the part, just like watching like NASCAR or something, like the part that people get excited about is when people would bail, right? And people would have big bails and there'd be crashes and people would, so they were like, I see a business opportunity here. So in the 20s, they invented a version of the sport of roller derby that was designed to have like contact and have stuff happening and have more like interactions between the skaters and like a little bit more danger and calamity and that kind of thing. So fast forward to the late 90s, early 2000s, and these cool women in Texas decided that they were going to put on roller derby as an entertainment night for people. And these people were the start of Texas Roller Derby and Texas Roller Girls. Did I get that right? TXRD and TXRG. So they started with a banked track. And they started with the league, and it really was like an entertainment product. Like it was like, okay, we're going to teach ourselves how to skate. We're going to teach ourselves how to play this game. But then like when there was penalties and stuff, it was like, okay, between periods, there would be like a penalty wheel you had to spin, and it would be like pillow fights or like spankings or, like it was like very campy. And as they got going, a rift started in the league. So it's like these 4 women that owned the league, and they were kind of telling everybody else kind of what to do, what to wear, when to show up, how, like come to practice, No one's getting paid except for these 4 women that technically, like in theory, if they could sell some tickets, they were making some money. So a rift developed. The league split in half. But of course, those women owned the track. They owned the big bank track, which is like a significant piece of infrastructure. So the women that left, they said, okay, what are we going to do? We still want to play roller derby. It's really important to us that moving forward, the thing we do is run by the skaters, not run by owners. So that has been like an important kind of like underpinning of the sport ever since. But they said, we don't have this banked track. So what are we going to do? So they redrew the track, and someone did the physics of it, and they figured out how to do it in the flat, basically. So this was a great innovation for the sport because this meant that all these other people with just a gym or a hockey rink or a curling rink or whatever could actually like play roller derby without having to have the investment in and the full-time space to have a bank track. And this whole saga that I just described to you is part of the A&E series Roller Girls. So they had like a television series on A&E in the early 2000s that like chronicled all of this. And one of our coaches, she comes and she goes because she moves back to Texas half the year. But Coach Smarty Pants is in the A&E series. You've had class with Smarty, right? And so she's one of the originators. She's one of like the grandmamas of roller derby, which is amazing that she's part of our crew here. And we're going to do a screening. We were going to do a screening, but it was like freezing cold. We're going to do a screening of one of the episodes of A&E's Roller Girls, so you can see that in action.
It's really great because it's like reality TV for half an hour, and then like the last 15 minutes is just game footage, so you get to like actually watch the bank track roller.
Super fun.
Yeah.
So that A&E Roller Girls series basically created the whole modern explosion of roller derby in the early 2000s. So that's what caused Mickey Mercury in Vancouver to put a thing on, what was it, Craigslist? Saying who wants to join roller derby. And Cupid was there, Essex was there, Lulu was there like 3 months later, Roller Girl was there. So a lot of the people that still come and skate and teach with us here were part of like Vancouver's original core team of Let's Start Roller Derby here in Vancouver in 2006. I joined in 2007. And yeah, that was Terminal City Roller Girls, now Terminal City Roller Derby. The thing that we, looking back now, Lulu and I kind of figured out, we were like, I love those people in Texas. I love those guys. But God damn it, why did they make the track such a stupid size?
It's really big. It's so much bigger.
It's very big. Like, we're in a 20,000 square foot facility right now, and the track does not fit in here because the columns are too close together. It's so big. They just took that big bank track and they said, let's just flatten it without thinking. And it is ridiculous, right? They did that without thinking about, like, what are this? I mean, it would be hard for them to realize that they were starting a whole revolution, right? But they did not think about, like, are we going to be able to move this thing into different size venues? And so when Lulu and I came together in 2017 and started talking about, like, how are we going to save roller derby from itself? And trying to come up with what became short track roller derby, one of the things we wanted to do was make a track that would fit in a basketball court or a tennis court or any high school gym or elementary school gym. So it would make it easier for anyone who wanted to try to pull together and put on roller derby, that they would be able to do it in, like, so many more physical spaces and, like, civic spaces. So that was kind of one of the big things. So any questions so far? How we created the short track rules. Mostly really long roller derby road trips. Like driving to Oregon for the Big O and kind of just workshopping it. Although 10 hours down and 10 hours back is kind of how we did that. So like I said, we wanted to make the game easier to execute from a league perspective. So in our experience over the decade, putting on roller derby bouts was, like, very intensive. So you have, like, volunteers, like ticket takers and people running the bar and people running the merch table and, you know, people doing the bake sale and whatever else. But not only that, there's sometimes 14 or 15 officials at a sanctioned WFTDA game. So that's, like, a huge roster of people that are skilled, that have to know things.
13, basically.
Yeah.
The whole 13.
So there's, like, a whole extra team. So there's, like, the third team is there. And then in flat track roller derby, it's 5-on-5. And the bench is, over the years it's changed, but 14 or 15 skaters. Yeah, so we made rugby sevens of roller derby. Exactly. I often use that analogy, actually. It's like, you know, it's the smaller, rugby sevens has the same size pitch, but we have the smaller track, fewer skaters, simpler scoring, simpler timing, fewer officials. So we wanted to make it something, as it turned out, you know, we created this sport a couple of years before the pandemic, and now we're like, okay, like, please use this, people, because a lot of leagues are struggling because they don't have all the membership that they used to, right? And so one of the most bummer things for me about going to practices before we started Rolla, when there was, like, nobody turning up to practice, was, like, you could never scrimmage because there weren't enough people to scrimmage. So you just work on skills all the time, which is, like, a good thing to do, but also, like, you know, yeah, a bit of a yawn, a bit of a snore after a while, right? You never what?
Oh, you were at those practices. Yes.
Oh, and never had games that were
Yeah.
chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
COVID times.
So with 3-on-3, we're like, okay, you know, if 6 or 7 people turn up to practice, we can do something. And even we can do a lot of fun stuff with 2-on-2 using the small track. So a lot of our, like, warm-up drills will be a 2-on-2 drill, which is really fun. So we tested it here locally with some Bad Reps skaters. Remember that? Up at Queenie Park, yeah. And because we had, like, made a guess about the size of the track, and we'd made a guess about whether the rules, like whether it would be the right size for the number of people. You know what I mean? Like, is this going to work or is it going to be all wonky? And it actually worked really well. It actually, like, right away we were like, no, it feels like roller derby. Like, it didn't feel like a totally foreign game. Like, we know how to play this, even though the numbers are different. And then we debuted short track to the world at RollerCon in 2018 down in Vegas. So we had the Three Amigos versus Three's Company as our challenge bout themes. And we did a workshop beforehand to teach everyone how to play. And then we put it, actually, fun fact, originally when we were the rules that we had written, the first half was going to be played in what people call derby direction, turning left, and the second half was going to be turning right. But we had all these folks who had come out to watch, and it was scheduled, the game was scheduled against one of the big parties, like the Rydell Fun Times Drinky Wear a Costume Skate Party. So we're like, fuck, no one's going to come and watch this game. Like, it's such a hard draw at that moment, right? But all these people turned up, and all these like 50 people in the stands, like interested, like waiting to see what this was about. And we had this moment, like, so first of all, we did this like big show of like getting rid of the penalty box chairs, because there's no penalties in short track, which is another thing. Again, that helps make it easier to officiate. So we got rid of the penalty box and like flipped all the chairs over, and everyone's like, what's happening? And then Lulu and I looked at each other and we were like, oh shit, we have to do this turning right to start with. Otherwise people are just going to be like, what are they doing? It looks like roller derby, but not quite. Like, so we made an instantaneous decision to make it very obvious to the audience that something different was happening here. So now direction 1 is turning right for forevermore because of that moment. So, yeah. So from there, honestly, like within the next year, we had people messaging us from Dubai, South Africa, Vietnam, Poland, Moscow, South America, like all over the world, Scotland, people who are really interested in trying it out, and like the rules are just published online. So if you're watching this online, please go to our website and find the rules. They're there for you.
I'll put a link in there.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the show notes. Show notes, is that what it's called? No, that's good thing you have a podcast. Comments. Captions. Yeah, so there's people playing it all over the world, which is really exciting. So, and I really have a good time playing it. And one of the things we've developed is a low contact version of the sport, like low contact rules, which was kind of developed and based out of the junior roller derby contact levels that have been created for the juniors. And as a person who already has more than a decade of people smashing into me, kind of imprinted onto my body, I really enjoy the low contact rules because it's still very challenging and actually quite aggressive, but I don't feel annihilated. Like, I don't feel
it still
like...
looks really choppy to watch too, like the bouts that we've had here so far.
Yeah, it's all the bouts that if you've seen any of the ones we've had, they've all been played as in the low contact rules, and it's not a snore. Like, I always thought that recreational roller derby was never going to be for me because I thought it was going to be really boring and really like not hard and not challenging. And I have proven myself wrong. So, yes.
You guys need to brag about that one too, because like you're the first adult league that is doing low contact.
First adult league doing low contact? Really?
Yeah. Yes. So like WFTDA did it as return to skate.
Come stand over here on the camera.
The WFTDA did a low contact return to skate as they were coming back, but they don't officially have a low contact version of flat track roller derby. So this is the only adult version that I know of that's low contact.
So, any questions? Are you all interested in doing the boot camp? Yeah, as it's...
Hey.
Awesome. Okay, cool. What questions do you have? What is it that you want to know about playing roller derby? And I'll probably repeat your questions awkwardly so that it goes into the mic.
I ended up in that weird in between where I did the COVID derby stuff.
Yes.
And now for the roof issue in the other
yes,
place,
yes.
like that
You and Fox were in the same, yeah. So Jazzy here started, and then we had COVID ended our hopes, And then we started right back up in that same like day. I think the roof of our old facility was deemed unsafe and unfit, and the building was condemned, and so we had to cancel everything.
We left and we were like, see you tomorrow.
Yeah. Yes, no one was more sad than I. Okay, so yeah, and then you were coming during the pandemic and doing all of our like skater derby skills solo classes.
Yes, there was no contact.
Because there was no
so
contact.
You didn't have to have passed skills.
Right.
Yeah, like the expert beginner crew.
And we
Yeah.
we created the best like contact innovation for the pandemic, which is we hung our hitting pads from the wall so everyone could like slam into the hitting pads and like skate and hit the walls. But it was a pale substitute. It was a pale substitute. All right. What about you, B? You've got some rugby background.
Like I've had a million concussions from rugby.
A million concussions. Okay.
Cannot really get another one. I don't want to relearn it again.
Yes, agreed. So it is a non-zero risk of concussion for sure. Yeah.
Do you have helmets?
You wear helmets for sure and mouth guards. That still doesn't give you a zero risk. So that's true. But I would definitely, you know what? We've got video on here. We've got the live stream of our last bout, and you could take it to your doctor and show them a little, clippity clip of it and be like, here's what we're looking at. And they could be like, that's a no, or that's seems like you could try it. So we also do a lot of like skills building and a lot of like very controlled contact in the boot camp. So there's certainly a lot of opportunity to like try and learn the thing and experience it without having like a lot of like totally unexpected wild contacts during the boot camp. So we keep it under a...
We did have one boot camper last round too who had, on doctor's advice, decided it was a no and just helped us with officiating instead. So it's one of our reps.
Yeah, so officiating isn't... We don't like to talk about officiating as being like a step down or like if you can't play roller derby, then do this. But if you are interested in playing roller derby, but the contact's not for you, or the commitment or the whatever, not that, again, refereeing isn't a commitment, but officiating can be a really good way to be like part of the vibe, part of the good times, and the part of the community, and have like the team that you work with. Yeah.
I still do a lot of dumb things.
I still do a lot of dumb things, in case you didn't hear that. Is what they said. I don't want you to have to learn how to read again either. So yeah. So for roller derby, I mean, I come from a background of like, when I was in roller derby, I was like, oh, look at all these adult humans that don't have a lot of necessarily sports background who are trying to thrash their bodies. And so I created a business called Roller Derby Athletics to try to give people like off-skate fitness information so that they wouldn't kill themselves. And so I do like to advise people that, if you're playing roller derby, that shouldn't be your only roller skating per week, and it shouldn't be your only fitness per week, because you shouldn't be trying to do roller derby to like improve your fitness. It will happen, but you should be thinking about working on your fitness, your strength, your stability to allow you to safely play roller derby. If that makes sense. So our Roller Skate Club, we have our power classes, which I really recommend for people to come to, because that'll help get your cardio up, but also your strength. And then if you do stuff on, stretching is always a good thing to do that most people don't do enough of, mobility stuff.
I've never taken a power class.
Okay, well, there's no time like the present to start taking the power classes. Absolutely. So for folks in the boot camp here, we have a power class right beforehand, and then the boot camp class, and we basically intend that you come to both. And then we also have power classes on Mondays and Wednesdays, and
it's usually run by the same coach too. So it's nice.
Yeah, they kind of feed into each other. So yes, yeah. So it's I think it's worth mentioning. Like, don't have roller derby be your only fitness thing, because you should be working on your stability and your strength and your conditioning outside of roller derby class, so that you can be successful and not have injuries and not flail around and all that kind of stuff when you're in in derby. You've officiated before, right? Assets. What do you like about officiating? Power.
No, it's just getting like a big picture of the game because you can see what's happening. Like
You can see
when
what's
you're actually,
happening.
like, playing, you see your space,
Right. Yeah.
and sometimes you can't see the big picture, but as an officiator,
Yeah.
you're seeing like bigger
Yeah. So when you're, just to repeat for those at home, when you're playing the game, like you kind of tunnel vision a little bit, right? You only see what's kind of right in front of you. But when you're the official, you get like the broader view of what's happening in the game. Yeah, and I think the officials team also has a really good. It's definitely a team sport because there's a lot of collaboration and supporting one another and working together, similar to how teammates on a team exist, right?
We have a really cute officials crew right now too.
Yeah, we've
They
got
had a great time.
officials.
They like learned scorekeeping just before the last game, and then like all did it together, each doing a little bit. Very cute.
Yes, working together, figuring it out.
Fun to hang out with.
And then roller derby is a team sport. So, I mean, when I ask people who are in roller derby and say, "Oh, what's your favorite thing about being in roller derby?" a lot of people, or most people, say like, "It's the people we met along the way." No, it's the people, right? So, I mean, I know that my life would be so different if I hadn't met these bitches in 2007. And I mean, you know, I'm maybe an anomaly because I went on to like own 2 roller skating related businesses, but anyone that's participated in roller derby has like friends for life and like friends that have and experiences that have to like change their outlook in one way or another. So it can really, like, I like to say it's profoundly transforming people because I've seen that happen so many times. So whether it's because it makes you feel strong and, you know, more capable than you knew, or you could do more than you thought you could, or you overcome something that is really challenging, or whether it's from seeing other people who are just really different from you, or someone else who's going through that journey, or, you know, being on a team with somebody who's like, you never would have kind of crossed paths in your day-to-day life if you'd just been like going to Fitness World or whatever. Right? So the people is amazing, and then it is a team experience. So you know, right now Roller Skate Club, we don't have like split or set teams. We have like all one team, and then we just roster for games according to who's available and whatever. So what that means is that when we go to practice at our team practices on Wednesday nights, we're all one big team. We're all supporting each other, and we're all learning together, and really like building each other up, and, you know, like doing like sports psychology things, and, you know, thinking about how we work together and thinking about our goals, and, you know, real sports team stuff. So it's pretty fun.
I mean, boat days are right too.
Boat days are really fun. Boat days are really fun in here for sure. Yeah, so we get like 400 people in here watching the bouts, and the beer garden going, and we have a sign making station so that people can like make ridiculous signs and hold them up for their friends, and the little kids come and watch it, and they get really inspired, which is one of my favorite things about it. So yes, so and we do have a live stream of our most recent bout on YouTube, so you can watch the action from the last one, from our December 10th bout, Naughty versus Nice.
Goofball elf.
Yes, Cupid is a very cute elf throughout. Yeah. What's the history of the names? Yeah, good question. Roller derby names. I suspect that came from the 70s and 80s when roller derby was on television. And so
Yeah, a lot of them did have names, but not all of them.
they didn't all, right?
Common, but like mostly the like superstars.
They kind of
would all
have more
a
like
nickname or
nicknames. Like one of the most roller skate bingo is this thing that I intend to make someday, where whenever you have roller skates with you, like these things will happen, and I want to make a bingo card for everybody. And like the center square is just like an old dude going "Roller Girl" like that. But one of the squares is someone yelling "Skinny Minnie Miller."
Oh my god, someone did it on the post.
Oh, nice.
Facebook with like hashtag Skinny Winnie Miller.
Nice.
Oh my god.
So Skinny Minnie Miller was one of the most famous roller derby skaters from that 1970s era. And it was a co-ed game. It was all genders, so like men and women on teams together. And it was televised. It was very campy. There was a lot of choreography, just like kind of like wrestling. I always give people the analogy, people like, so is it this, or like, I remember seeing it on the TV back in the day. And so I say that is like WWE wrestling. And what we do now is more like UFC. Like, it's still very aggressive. It's still very challenging and like lots of high contact and all that kind of stuff. But there's like rules and referees and like it's legit and there's no choreography, right? Like no crocodile pits.
Yeah. And
there's no
Skinny
ball.
Minnie played in that version, actually. She played long enough to play in the 1989 one.
Oh, yeah.
One of the longest running.
So some of the players, like Skinny Minnie Miller, like, so her last name was Miller, and so it was just, whatever. So some of them were just kind of nicknames. And then as it, like, into the modern era, like that Texas Roller Girls campy, let's make a entertainment-based, sports light, entertainment heavy kind of experience for people. Like, that was part of it. And it's always had this kind of funny, like, how do you describe this? Like, every news article that was ever done about a roller derby league from 2005 to 2015 would like profile 2 or 3 of the skaters, and it would be like librarian by day, roller derby by night. So like this trope. And so it was this kind of always this thing that was like, oh, somehow as a woman, you are supposed to be like prim and proper, but then if you play roller derby, it's like your alter ego coming out and it's your rough and tumble side. So
lots of like superhero analogies, right? Alter ego.
Yeah, superhero stuff. Yeah, and like wrestlers too, kind of similar to that like glow vibe. I don't really think that anyone needs to like be different in their daytime to when they come and play roller derby, and I try not to be, but like that's kind of this weird like, the patriarchal underpinnings of everything that we do kind of created that experience. But there was definitely something interesting that Lulu and I have noticed is that there are a lot of people that we call it the caring professions, social workers, nurses, teachers, people in those types of professions who are doing a lot of caring and nurturing during the day. And then our thesis is that they have to be on their best behavior and nice to people and taking care of everybody else. And then they get to do that like roller derby by night and actually be like, I'm about to hit a bitch. Let's fucking go. Right? So I think that kind of like links into it somehow. So my roller derby name is Bizness Time. Cupid Stunt over here we both used to have different names. Major Assets. Any roller derby names in the tank that we're working on?
I went by Charmangler before.
Charmangler.
I like Charmander.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like what?
I like Charmander, the Pokemon.
Charmander. Okay, yeah, I got it. Not yet, B. Not yet. It'll come.
I did want to ask if you guys at Short Track use the same pad rules as,
Like equipment?
Yeah, like what you can and can't wear.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great question. So the required equipment for short track roller derby is identical to flat track and bank track roller derby. So it's a helmet, a mouth guard, wrist guards, elbow pads, knee pads, and quad roller skates. And there's no requirement to wear toe stops, but I would highly recommend it.
Like other pads the same. If they allow like certain things can be hard shells and things can be.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And you can wear like butt pad shorts if you want to. Yeah, same thing. And if you're officiating, you have to wear all of the above except for the mouth guard.
And some of them do wear mouth guards too.
And some people do wear mouth guards, yeah.
If it doesn't, like now that they have the hand whistles, I
Oh,
think
right.
more often you see refs.
Yeah.
I think before it interfered a bit with the.
Oh, you can just do a whistle with your
Yeah.
thumb?
Oh yeah, but GVRD has like a.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, cool.
It's like one button is 4 whistles too.
You can use any kind of roller skates. We're definitely not like gear snobs around here. One thing that you'll find is like the wheels that you've got on your roller skates are kind of outdoor wheels, and you'll find that you have more control and more edging if you get indoor style wheels, which basically tends to be a little bit harder. So a higher number on the skate. So like those might be those are 101s. Oh, they're very hard. Never mind then. 101s might even be too slippery in here for derby, just because you have to be able to like edge and turn so much. But then like the difference, like an outdoor wheel tends to have like a rounder edge profile, and an indoor or roller derby wheel tends to have like more of a square edge, so you can really like get your stops going. What's that? Round and hard wheels. Fancy. Yeah, any other gear questions while we're talking gear?
Why is it more common to have? It's like just for mobility to have the short skates.
The short skates. I think I wish I knew the answer to this. The key difference is actually the heel. So the like speed skates, roller derby boots, and speed boots don't have the heel, and I'm not an expert, but I believe that's because you can like get more power from each stroke. But there's no real no big deal. You don't have to invest in a whole new pair of skates. If you're like, oh, I just want to try it out, or that's just like Susie Shameless. Like we skated with lots of people with figure skate style, like high boots. Yeah,
That's what they're comfy in. And the opposite issue, I switched and it screwed me up for a month.
Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment for sure.
Oh yeah, I have Moxies that I am terrible in. So I'm using this month.
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever you change your skates, no matter what it is you're doing, whether you change your plates or even wheels or whatever, like it's always a bit of a Bambi show for a little while for sure. So definitely give yourself a chance to try them out before you just show up at practice day one and you're like, ah. So
Time I played a game in brand new pair of skates.
You played a game in
that's
brand new
not
skates.
fun.
Oh. So our boot camp is 8 weeks long. We work on a lot of your basic roller skating skills, but geared into the roller derby realm. So there's a lot of plow stopping in roller derby, and then lateral movement and agility that we don't necessarily work on so much in our recreational classes, but we do work on those things in the power classes. And we start introducing contact, and we're gonna probably give it a little shot today in shoes with our hitting pads after this. And we work on rules, so we get comfortable with contact zones, where we're allowed to hit, where we're not. The low contact versus high contact rules, skills for jammers, skills for blockers, how to work together, speed changes, lateral movement, things like that, changes of direction. So it's a very progressive course over the 8 weeks. And the last week we do a scrimmage. And
we get the full officials team out to run the real one for you guys. It's always fun.
And in week 6 we do shoe derby. So we start the class in our shoes and we play. We run around the track and do the rules of roller derby, but in our shoes. So it gives us a chance to have people all around us and all the head scramble that is, but without the wheelie things on our feet. So shoe derby is always a really fun day. Yeah. Any questions about the 8 weeks?
It's on Saturday.
It is Saturdays. I've forgotten what time it is because it's changed.
Oh, did it change?
Well, it was 2 o'clock. Is it still 2 to 3:30?
I thought it was still
Maybe it is. I should know that information before being on a live YouTube. Okay, verification happening on that.
I guess it's someone who's done my basics or a good chunk of
Yeah.
my fundamental skills.
Yeah.
They're should I be
Yes, still 2 to
one?
3.
Or I don't want to be there for week one, but
Yeah, I think you should come for the whole 8 weeks, because we'll be going over rules. We'll be going over, you'll be refreshing your body into the movements and so forth. If you miss a session because you're out of town or something, it's not going to be the end of the world. But I think both from a team perspective, you're going to be with a cohort of people and working together and learning from each other and supporting each other, which will be really fun. And then just the differences too, if you've done a little bit or had a little bit of experience with flat track before, really kind of reframing your brain into the rule set of short track will be good too.
they're going over
Yeah, every class is a whole bunch of stuff for sure. Yeah. What should you be able to do? Yeah, good question. So for our class, you should be able to skate forwards and backwards, transition, stop. Do you have anything else?
to just start.
Like
no, I think
pre-qualifications for boot camp.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People progress at their different stages, and people come into the class with different levels of experience, and that's natural, and that always happens in class. A lot of times what I've seen is I've coached a lot of new skater, we used to call them fresh meat programs, like boot camp programs. And a lot of times what happens is someone comes in with really good skating skills, and someone else comes in with poor skating skills, no background. And the people with the good skating skills kind of mentally are cool, they coast because their skating is good. And then the people with the not so great skating skills at the beginning come up and surpass them because they're working harder and they're more focused on their skills. So it's really interesting to see. It happens a lot, actually. Different skill levels is natural in the group.
I just checked the description. You nailed all the things.
Did I get all the things right?
Prerequisites. Yeah, and it is 2 to 3:30.
2 to 3:30 on Saturdays, and 1 to 2 is the power class. So we don't really do a warm up in the derby class because we expect everyone to come in for the power class. So if you can't come for the whole power class, come in a little bit early and do some squats and some lunges in your shoes and get your body warmed up, and get your skates on. Which the park meetup? Yeah, that is moving to Thursday nights. And Sunday? I think there's 2. Yeah, I think there's a weekend one on Sunday during the All Ages Open Skate. Yeah. Any other questions about Derby boot camp?
Is a skate park session on Sunday.
Nice. Okay. Do you want to hit each other with some hitting pads? Let's do it. Okay. We're gonna move this. All right. On your feet. Oops. Okay. Too good. I'm gonna get you.
Yeah. I will. Cameraman. For sure.
All right. So, when holding the hitting pad, put your hand through both. When holding the hitting pad, put your hand through both things. Hold on here, and then you plant your forearm into the small of your waist, so that you're not trying to use your little tiny shoulder muscles to resist this big strong person coming in at you. So get low, and then your body's gonna come in and hit you. They're gonna get nice and low. They're gonna try to get we tell people to try to hit people with this meaty part, the back of your shoulder, as opposed to with your pointy little shoulder. So you need to get low and try to come in super low on the pad. Yes. Like so. All right, so we've got 2 here. Make sure to partner up.
Yeah, you guys.
Assets, it's been a while. You ready?
Yeah.
Yes. I guess a wall.
You're never going to against a person.
Once.
All right. Exercise. That's really good.
Thank you.
Nice. Oh yeah, you're ready. Awesome. Nice. All right, you want help? I'm gonna take this light off for the moment, so I'm not doing this. All right. Feels good. It's a really good thing to do at the end of it. I had to get off my chest.
Get it out of you.
Nice. Should we switch buddies? Sure. Oh, yeah, I can.
No. If you want. Come back.
Right. Oh, yes, the red meat coming in. Nice. Oh, you are ready for this. Yeah. Awesome. How'd that feel? Fun?
No, I'm I knew I was trying to inform it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's weird.
sorry. Oh, no. Okay, great.
To feel good, I said.
Yes. Yeah. Nice. I know, right? Just I can just roll in and soup in there. Sure. Well, what's that? Very soon. Oh, okay. Look at that. More running, like yeah. How you feeling? Feeling good? Buddy? Hi. All right. I think we're gonna end it there. Thanks for tuning in, those of you who are watching. And
Bye, everybody.
we'll see you soon.
Happy skating.